Hello everyone and welcome to the very first episode of Builders Corner, where we meet builders from around the world and across multiple hobbies. I'd like to thank the builders shown on screen. You can find their social media links and timestamps in the video description down below. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos like these, and definitely check out our Twitch channel where we build Gunpla kits live and play video games together. Enjoy! Well, today, hold on, I'm gonna lower the music a little bit because that's a little bit loud. He truly appears. I'm here. So today I want to do something special, something I've been looking forward to for a while. For me, this is very important because I started doing Gunpla in about, I don't know, 3 years ago, and at the moment I thought it was something very, very cool. You know, I was given I believe it was an HG model of a RX. I thought it was interesting. I never paid much attention to it. I didn't think they would have such a big community, but I've been doing that recently. I've been talking to everybody, looking at their creations, and I thought it was, yeah, it is totally radical. So I thought maybe it would be interesting to there were a lot of things regarding the community that I wish I had looked into a few years ago. Now, because recently I moved to China where it is much cheaper, I was able to buy more kits and be able to practice this hobby, right? And I'm not one to not socialize, I guess. So today we're going to talk about 5 people in our new segment called Builders Corner, which is exactly this one. Now, if you can't see my face, that's a problem. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look for my face. Where is my face? Let's go ahead and find that. Okay. That's not what I'm looking for. Nothing? Okay, nothing yet. I want to know, why is my face not showing? That's a problem. Okay. Yeah, ugly. No, don't say that to me. Because if I use another one, will it show? See, this one works, but this one, oh, there we go. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for. Well, these things are supposed to happen, I believe. I may consider not doing it with a camera, but we will see. I'm not used to that. Okay, I'll take this one, no problem. Not what I wanted, but that's okay. So let me go ahead and fix my posture because I forget this is not my webcam. All right. So we have, thank you for the posture check. I just did that. So the way this is gonna work for Builders Corner is that I have a few pictures that we can look and we can analyze what they have been doing regarding this build. Now, remember, this hobby is pretty simple in the way that you know, that's how they get you. They say, oh, this is just a kit, you can just build it, but there are so many customizations that you can do that you would be silly not to want to customize it or paint it or whatever. So there are a lot of things that you can do with these kits. Now we're gonna go ahead and have a look at FruityFan. Now Fruity is a person that I know. We've been talking for the last, I would say, 2 months. Pretty nice person. So what I will do is I will give you some information regarding this builder in particular. His name is Aiden, and he is from California, USA. Important to say that he identifies as a he. That's him. I got people calling me. I'm busy. I'm sorry. Okay. Now Fruity is mostly active in the Instagram community, and I also believe he's in the Gundam server. For those who don't know this is just a server to talk about Gundam and Gunpla 2. This is the reason why I joined, because I was looking for models and I was like, huh, there's a server. So I have a few questions that I wanna read to you guys. The first one being, what do you like about building things? I think this is a very, very important question, because I myself, I like to build lots of things. Some of them are soothing, and some of them are just like to do something difficult. When I started doing perler art, Fruity, hello, just talking about you. You can answer some of these questions. Well, I was saying is that I personally like building things because sometimes they're really hard. A few years ago, I actually built an actual wearable piece of armor made out of perler beads, and that took me like over 100 hours to build. So that is correct. You can develop spatial skills, spatial intelligence, and concentration, definitely. Now, Free says, it's fun and a better alternative to video games, and I think I agree. I think sometimes you want to unplug, and what you can do is build something like, for example, this guy right here, which Fruity built. This is, I do not know the model, he probably does. And this takes a lot of time. Now, thankfully, Fruity also got this action base, which is really cool because you can put your characters, your builds into very, very cool poses. Very interesting. MG Freedom Gundam, and that is a master grade. So in case you don't know, things are separated, these kits are separated into different grades, SD being the smaller ones that I normally build, but Fruity went for an MG, which is much, much bigger. Now, next question we have here is, what has been your most time-consuming project and why? Fruity, you can tell us all about that. But you wrote here, my most time-consuming project was my master grade unicorn because of all the moving parts. So he is referring to, if you guys give me 1 second, this is the one, okay? This is the unicorn. Is that the one? Hold on, this is the unicorn. Let me find it real quick. This is the one. So the MG unicorn is in the series, which I don't watch really. I haven't watched it yet. This is a big robot that transforms. So all those red pieces that you can see can basically move outwards or inwards, like as if they were vents. And that's how it transforms. So obviously this would take a lot of time to build. Hello, Doctor. Welcome, welcome. Build tracks count? Yeah, I don't know. Not that, no, this is mostly handcrafts. You can, I mean, we want to talk about different kinds of crafts, but not music related. Okay, this is, personally, I think it looks like a challenge. If I were to build this, it would probably take me a lot of time. I think it's still a pretty good build, and I would like to paint it. It looks very, very interesting. Okay, moving on. Next question is discrimination. What has been your greatest achievement in terms of your projects? For example, it was the perfect birthday present. It got 1,000 likes on Instagram. You made your first sale, and he says, I don't know. This answer is completely okay. Not everything needs to have a deep meaning to it. Just because you build Gunpla doesn't mean that that you like to do it because it relaxes you or because you want to have likes on Instagram. Some people focus on it, and I think it's completely okay. Honestly, sharing stuff on Instagram and Discord makes what a community is, which is sharing what you do. And if I hadn't met all these people, I don't think I would be so into this particular hobby. Okay, next question that we have here is, how did you get into this hobby? We're going to check out another picture that we have here. We're going to go back into basically the same unicorn, but this is without the transformation. So you can see it's completely white with no red part showing. The question is, how did you get into this hobby, and did a friend recommend this to you? Have you watched any shows or movies where the hobby is mentioned? So I basically asked a bunch of questions about where did you get all this information, where did you find this hobby? But he says, I saw my friend's older brother making Gunpla, and that got me into making it. Fruity, if you're there, maybe you can tell us more information about this. Like, how did you see it? How did you find it the first time? Did you talk to your friend's brother to get more information? Did you look it up online? What was the experience like? Razzie, welcome Razzie. We're going to talk about you in a while, but welcome aboard. So tell us, Fruity, did you talk to your friends about it? Did you talk to anyone about this? Fruity is now in the chat telling us his story. By the way, we can see all the background, all the other kits that he has built. Pretty cool. Okay, while we wait for Fruity to answer, we're going to have a look at more builds. This is the RX 78-2. Pretty cool shield. I would have panel lined the crap out of this one, of course, but that's me, that's my style. That's the thing, is like you can use decals like this one right here, or you can just paint over it. Very interesting. I love it. Fruity says, I talked to them about Gundam. Cool, and that's probably what got you interested in building kits. Okay, next question is, what is the most frustrating thing about your hobby? For example, pieces don't always fit. Painting is messy, it doesn't get a lot of views, it takes a lot of space. Fruity says, the projects take like half a day to build and another half a day to decal. So again, you have options. For example, in this case, right here, you can see a, kind of like a flower decal that has a background story, by the way. I'm not going to tell you, but whatever. This is a decal. So you can buy decals, and sometimes they come with the kits, or you can just paint over it. So see, this one is another one. Your customizations are basically whatever you want to do with it. You can even cut them and burn them and make it look like they're weathered, which is it's a very prominent thing in this kind of hobby. Fruity says, I think he was building a master grade Exia. Probably why I only get master grade. Aha. So then you were fixated on this particular kind of difficulty. Very interesting. Moving on to the next question. Do you have any hobby-related goals? Do you have any dream projects? For example, building all the models, crafting something life-sized. He says, I want to get a perfect grade Gunpla and panel line it, add decals, etc. So perfect grade, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is this kind of model, but much more intricate. And of course, it would take a shit ton more time. That is cool. That is something that I would like to do eventually, but I'm pretty fixated on the SD ones for now. Still very cool. From what I gather, perfect grades are just massive, so I would imagine it takes a lot more time. 160 scale for perfect grade. I see. Okay. Moving on, we have this is a very interesting question, a very important one for me. What kind of feelings does this hobby evoke on you? Does it relax you? Does it remind you of someone? How? And again, there's no correct answer. You can just enjoy it because it's fun, or just whatever. And in this case, Fruity says, I kind of relax when I make things, and this is how I feel about most kind of, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong camera. And this is how I see most of my hobbies, most of my creative hobbies. So for example, when I used to make perler stuff, I feel the same way. It's kind of soothing. At the same time, there's a sense of achievement because it's not easy. Not just anyone can do it. That's a bit of a, you know, like a fake statement. So I would say, for me at least, it's a sense of achievement and also the fact that it's soothing. But in the case of Fruity, just soothing. Next question is, do you have any friends or any people you follow whom you look up to? Who are they and why? When I read this, no lying, I was kind of like, ah, like crying a little bit, because it says I look up to Renzo. That would be me, because he's always there for people and he's making and playing games all the time, talking to his viewers. I think that's what makes him such a cool person to hang with. And we do talk a lot off stream and everything. I honestly don't know how I became that person, considering that I don't stream that often, but I want to be that person. I want to be approachable. I like to talk to people, and I think sharing your stories and sharing your builds is what makes a community just immersive. Someone that you can just talk to at any time. All right, hold on. Music got too sexy. I want to say thank you though, Fruity, for saying that. If I'm that kind of person, I'm happy. Next question is, to finalize, could you give any advice to people who are just starting on this hobby of yours? At first, it will be hard, but with time and practice, you will get better. And I think that's a pretty good piece of advice, because realistically, this can take you a lot of time. This can take you some more time, and it can be frustrating. Whatever you're building, it requires patience. I personally love this one, this UNT Spacey. So I would say take your time. Fruity says, by the way, the reason I didn't pen align my gunplay is because I don't have Gundam markers. That's okay. I have a few, and now I want to get one of those like airbrush thingies. But this is very, very cool. I like it. So this has been Fruity. Fruity, if you have your Instagram, if you can just type it, please tell us where we can find you so that they can follow you and we can talk some more about your builds. That has been Fruity. I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's see. No problem. Go ahead and post that. Post the link to your Instagram. Maybe not a link, just your handle. Just your handle, because if you post your link, it'll ban you. Okay, we're gonna move on. We're going to talk about someone else right now, and that would be Ivory, also known as Allison. So give me 1 second. That is correct. Chapika will go apeshit if you post any kind of link. Just 1 tiny second. Question, go ahead. Okay, we're gonna move on to another crafter, and that is let's see, Ivory. Okay, that is correct. Chapika's just Pikachu but swept around. Okay, sadly Ivory could not join us today. She's not here today. Allison or Ivory is someone that, okay, I don't know personally, but she is just one of those really approachable people in this community, and I thought it was very interesting that I was able to talk to her about pretty much more than Gunpla. You normally don't do that with random people, but she is one of those people. So I'm gonna read a few of her I'm gonna read her questions. Okay, so remember that this is something that you can, there's a form, you can fill it out and you can share your story with us. So Ivory, also known as Allison from Southern California, USA. She says that you can find her on Instagram, Twitch, Discord, all of it at IvoryGundam. Okay, so we're gonna post this here. You guys can find her there. Pretty much anything that has that handle will be it. Okay. Question number 1 is, what do you like? What do you like about building things? And she says, I enjoy being able to see something finished. Working on things with my hands is really relaxing, and I love seeing a kit completed. I agree, and this is by far one of my favorite creations of her. The ability to mix Gundam and Sailor Moon, I have no idea how she did it. I don't know if this is a kit. If this is a kit, then it's spot on, but the customizations, if there are any, it's just amazing. I love it. I love there's a Gundam Sailor Moon in here. I think it must be a kit because of the quality levels of that bow right there, for example. I still like it. I think it's really cool. Kawaii Gundam, yeah. Next question is, what has been your most time-consuming project and why? And she says, PGXE, lots of sections completed over multiple weekends. I don't know if we have a picture of that. No, but we have some. It might be this one. I don't know. Not sure if this is the one. This is the one Fruity was talking about. It, not this one in the picture, but Exia. Lots of sections completed over multiple weekends. I can relate to that. Sometimes, even if you have a complete weekend, it'll take more time than you expected. Okay. Next question from Ivory is, how did you get into this hobby? Did a friend recommend this to you? Have you watched any shows or movies where your hobby is mentioned? And she says, I started this when I was in middle school. I saw Zoids kits at a toy store, went on vacation with my family, and I built some. Then I moved up to Gunpla kits from my local hobby shop. I eventually took a break, but have gotten back into it in the past few years. So she, as you can see, she's a pretty versatile builder in the sense that she doesn't really stick to just one thing. I like that a lot. There are no Zoids here, but you can see the other pieces that are more cute. I personally like that. I want to build the Hello Kitty one. I think that's also one of my goals. Okay, moving on to the next question. What is the most frustrating thing about your hobby? For example, pieces that don't always fit. Painting is messy. It doesn't get a lot of use. It takes a lot of space. She says, I think sometimes assembly can be frustrating when you put together a piece wrong and have to figure out how to fix it without breaking anything. I can relate. I can relate. The whole thing about having to use your nails, if you have any, I normally trim them before my streams and I end up needing them. It's really annoying. It's really annoying. Also, just trying to figure out the instructions sometimes, they can get confusing and not very helpful at times when fitting parts together. I haven't had that problem, but then again, I haven't built anything that requires that much, like positioning and strategizing, because you do need that, you know, like organizing your runners and everything else. Let's show another picture and then move on to a different question. Do you have any hobby related goals? Do you have any dream projects? For example, building all the models, crafting something life-sized. She says, I'd like to keep building and making new friends in the hobby. I like that a lot. I think it's a great goal to meet more people. Again, she's extremely approachable. I've spoken to her about just problems that I have in my everyday life, and she's pretty approachable. She asked her, what kind of feelings does this hobby evoke on you? Does it relax you? Does it remind you of someone, and how? And she says, building Gunpla makes me relaxed. I love just putting on some music and vibing. I can relate to that, although I always stream mine, but I guess you can see when I'm chilling and also when I'm struggling with something. Very, very important to have your own kind of style when you're building. I mean, maybe some people are doing this in a very loud area. To give you an example, I saw a few people building one Gunpla model of a what is it? Digimon T-Rex. I forget the name. You guys know this. Together, all three of them, and I thought that was very interesting. So it's nice that you can have your own kind of building style. You can just do this with friends, you can do it alone, you can listen to music or watch someone stream. So we have another question here. I'm gonna switch to another picture so we can appreciate this. I really want to focus on this one. Look at that. This is the I forget, the burning flame, something like that, but this is like the samurai version. Very cool. Do you have any friends or any people you follow whom you look up to? Who are they and why? She says, shout out to New Type Nova, Vanzai, and After Colony Kid for inspiring me and cheering me on. Last but not least, Gaming Shogun for his support and for being someone I can bounce ideas off of. He has an amazing page and he is killing it with his own model work. These are all people that you can follow on Instagram. I know a few of those. I don't know all of them. I don't know Banzai, but again, the whole point of having a community is that you can talk to them. So I think this is very interesting. I know New Type is almost like a family. I may be wrong, but I see a lot of accounts with the same name. So that's interesting. Of course, New Type is a reference to Gundam. Next, we have, to finalize, could you give any advice to people who are just starting on this hobby of yours? And she said, gonna move on to a different picture so we can appreciate her art. This one right here. She says, my advice would be not to get overwhelmed. There are a lot of kids out there and a lot of techniques and people with opinions. Build what you would like, and if it doesn't make you happy, you're doing something wrong. Wow, that is true. That is true about just life in general. If you're doing something that doesn't make you happy, you should stop and reevaluate. You should really reevaluate that. Yeah, I think don't get overwhelmed, because honestly, there's just so many kids and styles. I can agree to that. I feel overwhelmed at times because I only do panel lining and marker painting, and that's kind of limited and limiting, but I feel like I'm happy doing it, so why should I change? So this has been Ivory. Again, you can find her on, let's see, Instagram, Twitch, and Discord at IvoryGundam. So feel free to talk to her. She, again, is pretty approachable. Now, I will take a little break, okay? And I will be right back. Stick around, don't go anywhere. We'll continue with 3 more builders. All right, I am back, and how's everybody doing? Okay, we have 3 more builders to talk about. So we're gonna say bye-bye to Ivory, and we're gonna go and have a look at Mecha Raskal, or also known as Razzie. I like Razzie. Razzie is a pretty cool builder, and you can see that right here. Okay, just let me go ahead and change the name. We're gonna change the responses. Okay. We're going to talk about a new builder. This is our third in our series. There is a form that you can fill out if you want to talk about anything crafting related, anything creative related to being a creator. It doesn't necessarily have to be Gundam, okay? I know this is called Builder's Corner and we have a Gundam right here, but it's not about that. Hello, Shadow. You got here just in time. We're going to talk about Mecha Raskal. Now, Mecha Raskal is a Deuterino from the United States. You can normally find him on Instagram under the same handle. And we asked him a few questions. I think he's here. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to check real quick. I think he is. Yes, he is. So you can answer a few questions when the time comes. So here are some of the questions. We asked him, hey, Razzie, there he is. First question is, what do you like about building things? And he said, I like to build things as it gives me some time to unwind and relax. Building also helps me flex my creativity a bit. And flex, does he do? Yes, he does. He does a lot of flexing because, I mean, look at that. This is pretty cool. The weathering effect is something that I don't think a lot of people can master. Me personally, I haven't even touched it. I haven't even thought about doing any weathering, but he's got it down. The whole idea is that you take a kit and you make it look like it's battle torn or battle worn. And I think it looks pretty cool. Look at that. So normally what you can do is like make it look rusty or scratched or like it has been shot at. It takes a lot of skill to get it right because otherwise it's like too on the nose, like too in there, you know, you don't want to overdo it. I think this one looks pretty cool. Question is, what has been your most time-consuming project? And Razzie said, as of right now, my most time-consuming project was possibly the IvoryGundam unicorn. Again, he's not the only one. It wasn't exactly a kit I painted or anything, but it was my first real grade. Again, the unicorn would be the white one. I don't know if we have a picture of that here. The unicorn is not here, but it's the white one with the red parts that basically reveal when he transforms. It transforms. I wanted to take some time and make sure that I was getting the build right, and I can understand that. Considering it's a real grade, you have to be careful. We're gonna focus on another picture, this one right here. This one has a lot of weathering. You can see it in the joints right here. It looks like the paint has come off, but in reality that is probably metal paint. I like it. It looks, wow, it looks very battle torn. Battle worn there, right there. So next question is, what has been your greatest achievement in terms of your projects? For example, it was the perfect birthday present. It got 1,000 likes on Instagram. You made your first sale. And he said, my greatest achievement was probably my first couple of posts on my HG Charazaku Mark II. Those posts were pretty popular, and the first time I had around 200 likes, 200 plus likes. Again, this is completely fine. I think there's a lot of people, not anyone from the community, but a lot of people say like, oh, you're only doing this to get likes. So what if that's the case? And I'm not saying that is the case for Raskal, but you have to flex your creativity. Otherwise, who is gonna know that you do such amazing things? And who's gonna get inspiration? Like, I look at this and I'm like, I want to do this. But could you imagine if Razzie was like, oh, I don't want to flex my creativity, I don't want to post on Instagram? No, you have to do it. You have to celebrate your own creations. So if your Instagram post got 200 plus likes, I think it's well deserved, and even more. This is the Leo, by the way, one of my favorite kits and one of my favorite Gundams, or well, mobile suits. You have to show me how you do this, the whole weathering effect. This looks like you actually cut it, which might be true, but it looks difficult to paint. Let's see, how did you get into this hobby? Did a friend recommend this to you? Have you watched any shows or movies where your hobby is mentioned? And Razzie said, I got into this hobby from a mix of things. I was actually into Transformers a while back, especially the IDW comics. I was really interested in how the IDW comics tackle the war and how it affects the various characters in future comics. I guess that those comics sparked my interest in forms of media that showcase similar themes. So when a family friend told me about Gundam and Gunpla while on a trip, I decided that I might as well check it out. I bought the HG F91 since it was the first thing I saw. At the time, I did not know much about Gundam, and after building it, I kind of got swept into Gunpla and the Gundam franchise as a whole. I like it that a lot of this is just because people referred other people into the hobby. Like, oh yeah, I do this. It adds a social factor to it. It's not like, oh, I found it on a website, because honestly, you don't see this much in the media. You don't see a lot of commercials about Gunpla not in China, not on the internet. So it's interesting that that's how you got to this hobby. Next question is, what is the most frustrating thing about your hobby? For example, pieces don't always fit, painting is messy, and it doesn't always get a lot of views, or it takes a lot of space. And Razzie said, the most frustrating thing about this hobby is probably money. I can relate. While most of my kits are around the $10 to $20 range, there are a few that can be pretty dang expensive, especially when you're buying supplies as well. And supplies, by that he probably means, like, for example, a cutting board, or getting Gundam markers, or getting nippers, or whatever, really. Buying Gunpla and supplies can get a little pricey for me sometimes, and it does get more difficult during the pandemic, because some Gunpla kits I want to get sell out quickly and takes time to restock. So for example, the RG Sazabi. Me neither, Shadow. I have never heard of Gundam commercials before. Oh, we gotta follow. Who is this? Tux, welcome. How are you doing? We're talking about Mecha Raskal. I don't know if Razzie is in the Discord server, but he probably should. He has a lot of things to show. We're gonna have a look at more pictures, okay? I like this pose. It's a pretty cool pose. And the panel lining is on point too, because I think mine look very kitty-like. Like I'm painting with crayons, but he's got it down. I personally like this one a lot. It looks just like you found this 50 years later, pretty much like the premise of like Iron-Blooded Orphans. So, next question is, do you have any hobby-related goals? Do you have any dream projects? For example, building all the models, crafting something life-sized. And Razzie said, one of my hobby-related goals is mostly collection-based. I'd like to build an entire Zeon or Neo Zeon army, a bunch of Zakus, Gera, Dogas, Doms, etc. I really like army building, especially with this, as Gundam is a war-focused show. Yes, I would like to see that, but I would like to see a bunch of Leos. I think that would be interesting. And I would imagine that would take a lot of time and money. So would that be like a bunch of HGs or a bunch of RGs? Can you imagine a bunch of RGs that would run you like thousands of dollars? Let's see. Let's have a look at another picture here. Cool pose. I personally love the Leo. The Leo takes the cake for me. I don't know why I like it so much. It looks very army-like, and for being a henchman kind of mobile suit, it looks disposable, but I like it. It has its charm. Next question is, what kind of feelings does this evoke on you? Does it relax you? Does it remind you of someone, or how? And how? Model kit building, definitely. Hold on, I'm going to lower the volume a little bit. Model kit building definitely relaxes me. While working on a model kit, it lets me get my mind off of any stress I might be feeling, and lets me focus on what I'm doing. It's a really nice hobby for when I'm under a lot of pressure or feeling blue. I can relate so much to this statement, because life has been difficult for a lot of people. There are different ways to cope with things. Playing video games can be one of them. Watching movies, reading books. But some people just can't sit and absorb a kind of media, so they have to be doing something with their hands. They have to be creating things. They have to be crafting. This is why Gunpla can be so therapeutic, I believe. Of course, if you break a piece, then all hell breaks loose. But you can really enjoy the building part and the coloring part. I like that too a lot. Now, I want to remind everybody that this corner that we have here, Builder's Corner, does not necessarily have to be about Gundam. You can build anything you want to just share your experiences. Let's see, do you have any friends or any people you follow whom you look up to? Who are they and why? He says, in all honesty, I don't have a specific person I look up to. It's more so Gunpla creators as a whole. I like looking at various builds and the way people make them. Whether by airbrushing, hand painting, or any other way they make their customs. It's really inspiring to see all kinds of people with many different ways they make kits. Yes, I like it. I like it, for example, when they paint kits completely pink, like they kawaii-fy them. Whether it's good or bad, you can tell how much passion they have for the hobby and how much effort they put into their work. It makes me want to put just as much effort into my kits as well. That is so cool. It is inspiring, yeah. I like it when people go outside and they take pictures of Gundams into like forest, but in reality it's just a backyard and it just rained and it looks amazing. So Razzie, for the final question, to finalize, could you give any advice to people who are just starting on this hobby of yours? He says, I'm not exactly an expert on this stuff, but if you want to get into the hobby, you don't have to make your kits overly flashy or cool looking. Gunplay is freedom. Whether you do clean builds or painted kits, doesn't matter. Just do what makes you happy. There is a pattern. This is the second time we've heard someone say, do what makes you happy. And this is what it's all about. If you just like building, just build it. If you like painting, you can do that too. It's a fun way of exploring your creativity. Okay, let's have a look at more creations. Did we miss anything? I don't think so. No, that's about it. So we have all those 4 creations. We have the Zaku, the RX-78, the Leo. I don't know this one. This is the HG Impulse Arc. Yeah. And the Goof Tactical Demonstrator. Razzie says, yeah, Gundam Wars 1120 on Instagram does pictures like that. Figure pics outdoors. Pretty cool guy. Yep. I don't know that person. I don't know that creator, but that's one of the things that I like about creators. They have, I don't know. When it rains, they take that chance. Oh, it is Goof. It's not Gauf. Okay, so that's funny. Anyways, you can find Razzie or Mecha Raskal. You can find him on Instagram. So it's pretty much not Razzie Darrigan. It's Mecha Raskal. So Mecha Raskal. You can find him on Instagram right there. I want to say, Razzie, thank you not only for tuning in, but for sharing your story as well. We're going to move on to another builder, which is, who is that person? Okay, we have someone submitted 8 photos. Let's go ahead and find that. This is Miyata. So we're gonna focus on this is a builder from Singapore, actually. Well, his name is Miyata. It's not his real name. Goof was my first model as a kid. Oh, that's cool. I haven't had the pleasure of building that one. Now, Miyata, you may know him. This is his Instagram handle, and he also has a YouTube stop motion channel, which I've checked out, and it's very cool. My God, the effects are really, really cool. So we asked Miyata pretty much the same questions. What do you like about building things? And Miyata said, the satisfying completion of the model, I can relate. It's just like when there's a brief moment of, not a brief one, but rather a moment in which you look at your finished project and you're like, wow, this took me, I don't know, 3, 5, 11 hours. I can't believe it's finally finished. And it looks completely different from when you were building it 5 seconds ago. It's just, when it's finished, it's just amazing. Next question is, what has been your most time-consuming project and why? And Miyata said, my current project, which was a trench diorama for the Ifrit. Trying to make the terrain look convincing is tough. I've seen Miyata and other people like Salty build dioramas and they're just like amazing. They're just so detailed and they use a lot of different parts. Like they use cardboard, they use plastic to make something look like a live scenario. It takes a special kind of skill which I obviously do not have. What has been your greatest achievement in terms of your projects? And Miyata said, not really anything in particular, but building the MG RX78 version 3 is as my first master grade. Let's have a look and see if we have any pictures of that. Probably this one, I will say. I may be wrong, but as my first master grade, it is on the tough end of master grade difficulty as constructions do not seem to make sense. Really? Wow. It is more of a sentimental piece to me as it was built at a time where something tragic happened in my life in the middle of building it. I have to go back to that. I mean, this can be therapeutic in its own way. Building things, you know, like playing games can also give you that kind of feeling when something happens and you're playing a game and you're having fun and you associate that game to that particular thing that happened in your life. I believe building can have the same kind of feeling. But Ivory, hello, we just finished talking about you. But thank you so much for tuning in. Right now we're talking about Miyata. What I was saying is like, when you have something, not necessarily tragic, but something that really stays in your memory and you associate it with building something, I think, okay, bear with me, but I think there has to be a connection between creating things and overcoming adversity. Like, I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people like to build puzzles, as a way of taking their minds off of things, because you're creating something. And again, when you finish something and when you look at it when it's finished, it gives you that feeling of achievement. And in this case, it wasn't really achievement, but it's something that happened to him in the middle of building this very big master grade kit. Next question is, how did you get into this hobby? Did a friend recommend this to you? Have you watched any shows or movies where your hobby is mentioned? Miyata says, visiting my cousin's house, which he builds Gunpla 2. Two kits in particular caught my attention, which were the gun cannon and gun tank, which are some of my favorite kits and designs to this day. Oh man, I'm a little bit jealous. I wish I had a cousin that built these things. I mean, look at this. By the way, talking about weather effect, this looks majestic. How do you do it? How do you do this thing? I can see that it has some like paints like sprayed on it, but I just don't know. I really don't know how you got this kind of effect. Next question is, what is the most frustrating thing about your hobby? For example, pieces don't always fit, painting is messy, it doesn't get a lot of views, it takes a lot of space. And Miyata says, space and time mainly, especially with studies returning. Also sacrificing kits to be used for parts. It's highly unbearable. So I can relate to that too. I started this hobby about 4 months ago and I'm only building SD models, SD kits, which are very, very small. To give you an example, this is the one I built last time. See? Oh, sorry, wrong camera. I have too many cameras. So this is the last one I built, and I think it's not that, doesn't take a lot of space, but it racks up, especially if you keep the boxes. So I would say, yeah, the weathering is very nice. So it takes money and it also takes space. Like if you, I don't know, this apartment is pretty big, but I can see that if I keep going, I'll be living in a mousetrap. Do you have any hobby related goals? Do you have any dream projects? Miyata said dream project would be to make an HGUCRX78-1. That's a mouthful. Prototype Gundam, since there is no modern 1 to 144 version of it. And I'm not confident with my current level of skill. I would have to see that. I don't know what that is. It sounds like a very complicated build. But I would say he can probably do it, right? I mean, if he can pull this off, he can probably nail any kind of build. Next question is, what kind of feelings does this hobby evoke on you? Does it relax you? Does it remind you of someone? How? It is relaxing as it allows me to escape the annoying and stressful reality, even when just admiring models. That is cool. I don't feel that way about just looking at models and kids, but I zone out it's so sad. Normally when I'm building, I get a lot of phone calls, but I'm like, when I'm building, I want to just like make it so that it's my own time. And of course I stream, so it's not really my own time, but I like to just like be able to build and forget about everything else. We asked Miyata, do you have any friends or any people you follow whom you look up to? Who are they and why? Miyata said, if it's overall, I look up to my brother. He is currently in University College London. He is usually an A student, which I wish I was, just as good, and continues to inspire me as a person. In the Gunpla hobby, I always look up to people like Vegeta8259 and Gunpla with Ed. I think they have a YouTube channel. Their builds and videos always inspire me, even though they are not as active in the Gunpla hobby as they used to be. Yep, I can see that. I mean, there's a lot of people on YouTube who do Gundam content. I really like the guy who clips. I forget the name. He has his name as the title of as his YouTube channel, but he clips runners in a rhythmical fashion, so it sounds like music, and then he puts it together, so it's very soothing. Let's have a look at more creations by Miyata, because we have this one right here. I would say this is a Zaku Mark 1 sniper. Is it missing? No, it's not missing an arm. Oh, that's a cool pose right there. I love it that it has that leg stand for sniping. Cool. Alright, next question is, to finalize, could you give any advice to people who are just starting on this hobby of yours? And the advice is, build and buy a kit because you enjoy an aspect of the hobby, like being able to make your own version of the design for you to enjoy. Do not let others' critique get to you. It's your own kit to make. Again, this kind of resonates with the whole idea, which, by the way, Ivory mentioned and then Razzie mentioned. Do something that makes you happy. Do something, and it's so different when you say do something that makes you happy than when you say do something that makes you happy, because you can do things for likes, and you can do this. You can build something to follow someone else, but ideally you should be doing something that makes you happy without just disregard any kind of comments that you might get from other people. It's creativity doesn't have any set of rules, really. You can follow styles, but if you do things differently, who am I to judge what you're doing? And that has been Miyata. You can again find him on Instagram here. It's a pretty long Instagram handle, but you can find him right there. We're gonna have a look at more of his creations right now. I know some of you sent me descriptions of each photo, but I'm not able to read them right now because I would have to access my email. Kind of a problem. I missed this one right here, this guy right here. This is a Gogrier? I don't know how to pronounce it, but this is one of the old models. Very cool. Okay, we are going to move on to, we did Miyata, Putra Shining, or also known as Putaro. So, oh my god, this guy is a pro. Okay, he has a YouTube channel, he has an Instagram page, he has a lot of followers, but more than anything, he has a lot of tools that I don't have. A lot of things that he has, like specific backgrounds, just gear in general. He has a lot of those things. So we're gonna have a look at this. Putaro is a creator from Malaysia, actually, and you can find him on Instagram, YouTube, Blogger, Facebook, and Pinterest. Me too. I absolutely love his builds, and he goes on details. He likes to go on details on his blog, putrashining.blogspot.com. Let's just appreciate some of his builds, and also look at that angle too. He knows what he's doing, clearly. So, what do you like about building things? Putra said, the research and brainstorming for ideas. Interesting, we hadn't heard that before. But yeah, I mean, creative people do need to do some research and brainstorming for ideas. I can only imagine how he does that. I imagine that he has like a whiteboard. Now, we asked Putaro, what has been your most time-consuming project and why? And he said the MG Wing Gundam Verka. The Verka models, anything that has Ver KA, it's a special redesign of a model that is much more detailed, and they tend to be very, very expensive. So he said the MG Wing Gundam Verka it's a birthday gift. It's one of my favorite Gundams. So I need to make sure that my idea will be the only one in the world, okay? I spent a lot of time in research, exploring, and designing for the perfect Wing Gundam Verka. The perfect Wing Gundam, at least for me. Let's see if we have that here. No, that's a Lupus. Oh my god, how can he nail a unicorn and make it look so rad? Mine looks so shitty. Unbelievable. Well, we don't have it here, but that's okay. We asked him, what has been your greatest achievement in terms of your projects? And he said, it was my HG Gundam Barbatos. Got so many views on YouTube that got me to publish my artwork more. I'm just lucky that at that time, because not a lot of HG Gundam Barbatos videos on YouTube, and I was one of the earliest YouTuber that uploaded customized HG Gundam Barbatos. I think it's not necessarily this one, but this is the Lupus Taro, which is another kind of Barbatos from the same anime. We asked him, how did you get into this hobby? Did a friend recommend this to you? Have you watched any shows or movies where your hobby is mentioned? And he says, I have been a Gundam fan since 2002, which is from the Mobile Suit Gundam Seed anime. And I also played the PlayStation Gundam Battle Assault 2, but I started to buy and start this hobby since 2015. So he's been a fan for a long time, and I can relate too, because I used to watch Gundam Wing, and that's it. That's all. That's the only thing I have. I knew there were more shows, but I never got into it until now. Right now, I'm watching Iron-Blooded Orphan, which is where this model comes from. And at times it can be interesting. Honestly, I think I'm one of those people that is more interested in the craft than the original media. We asked Putaro, what is the most frustrating thing about your hobby? And he said, for me, that is building it. I have the patience to paint Gunpla for 6 hours. Wow, I didn't know it would take that long. But I don't have the patience to build an HG for 2 hours. That is so interesting. So he's more of a painter than a builder, huh? Wow, put that. Well, it shows. I mean, not that it shows that you build them wrong. It shows that you paint them majestically. I mean, look at that. The weather effects, just unbelievable. This one looks just so special. By the way, this one should be red. The Gundam Astray, and he made it look brown. It looks like a wood-themed Gundam. Kind of like Woodman from Mega Man. Do you have any hobby-related goals? Do you have any dream projects? For example, building all the models. And he says, for now, I just wish that I can get a sponsor at least 1 or 2 HD a month so that I can keep customizing and creating awesome content to share to the world. I get it for free. I share the knowledge for free. Okay, that's pretty good. And I think that's a pretty good goal to have, because if you're constantly releasing content and people like you, oof, you want to get someone to give you some free kits so that you can save your wallet from total disaster. I mean, Gundams, I build only the SD ones for the same reason, because they're cheap. But this is a very expensive hobby. We're gonna focus on another picture right here. I hope you guys are having fun. I like talking about their creations, and I think this is just a very good thing to do. I'm sad that he's not here, but I'm pretty sure he will appreciate this, because this is just amazing. I love it. So, what kind of feelings does this hobby evoke on you? Does it relax you? Does it remind you of someone, and how? Putaro said, this hobby lets me create artworks that make me to push my limits. It helps me to keep brainstorming for new ideas, learning and exploring new things. As an artist, I can always have an active creative mind. Sounds like a great feeling to develop while you're creating stuff, to just be able to do brainstorming sessions, to challenge yourself to think about different styles. I think that's pretty interesting. We asked him, do you have any friends or any people you follow whom you look up to? Who are they and why? Putaro said, yeah, I got lots of Gunpla builders that I really love their artworks. Most of them have artworks that are weathering or diorama, which is also very cool. They produce those artworks without thinking about what people want to see or what should I do to reach 100 likes. They just do what they love to do, and they do the way they want to do it. That is what an artist should do, to be the avant-garde. Okay, I agree. Again, this resonates with everybody's answers. Do what you want to do. Don't do what other people tell you to do or what other people find interesting. So again, that really resonates with me. I like it that you guys are promoting this idea of like, do what makes you happy. The last question we gave to Putaro is, to finalize, could you give any advice to people who are just starting on this hobby of yours? And he said, always do a bit of research before you buy or do anything. Don't listen to just one person, and try to listen to others too. When you want to make the decision based on the research or what people tell you, always make your point of view counted, because what you like is important. At the end of the day, the decision is up to you. So he says, out of 100% of your decision, he says 50% should be your point of view, 30% other people's point of view, and then 20% logic and based on your research. Very mathematical, but you know what? I can agree to that. I think I'm going to post this here so you guys can appreciate the numbers and the logic behind it. It's just that you have to put everything on a scale and see, okay, what is most important? My point of view, other people's point of view, or logic and research. We can learn a lot from Putaro, really. It's not only the fact that he's just an amazing artist and apparently a shitty builder. Sorry, Putaro, but I find it so funny that 2 hours of building for you is hell, but 6 hours of painting for you is heaven. Oh man, that cracked me up. Putaro, thank you so much for sharing your story. It means a lot to me. I hope that you can continue making amazing content. Hey, Panda. Welcome, welcome. We were just finishing Putaro's section. This is just an amazing builder. By the way, you can find him here. This is his blog, and you can also find him on. You can also find him pretty much anywhere. If you look for Putra Shining or Putaro Plastic, I think you can. Yeah, fun name. We would say Putaro would be a funny name. Okay, everybody stick around. We're gonna move on to our last submission. So we talked about Putaro. We're gonna talk about Salty Wrecker. And I don't know if Salty's here. I think he is not. He might be sleeping because there's a pretty wild time difference. Okay, that is one of his creations. Salty is a friend of the stream. He's normally around when I'm streaming. If I get that name wrong, don't worry about that. I will also post your handles. But let's have a look at his submissions. Okay, he has 2. So he goes by, actually we're gonna change that name because he goes by Truck Coon on Instagram. You can find him as Salty Wrecker, also known as Truck Coon. Okie dokie. Fun names. So, thing about Salty. Salty is not only limited to... Not that he's limited. He doesn't just do Plamo. He doesn't just do Gundam. Sorry, that's what I wanted to say. He does a lot of things. And I think one of his best traits is that he can do diorama like no other. So let's have a look at his answers. First of all, he is a Deuterino from Germany. And we asked him, where can viewers find you? And this is, right, at the moment, only Instagram under just Truck Coon. Right here, you can find it right there. That's the handle. He says, I also have an inactive YouTube and Twitch account. And he said that he wanted to go back to streaming, but for the time being, that's not a thing, not happening. So, to appreciate, we're going to have a look at this beautiful TIE fighter, which has been destroyed. He does a lot of diorama, so this is a desert theme TIE fighter, and if you look at it, it's just amazing. The detail that goes into it's so funny to me that in order to create you have to destroy, but it looks amazing. I mean, it looks just like a scene from the actual movies, so I love it. We asked him, what do you like about building things? Salty said, to be honest, I don't really know, as I never thought about the question. I just generally like it. And not the first time I've said this. This is okay. You don't need to have like an, like a reason of being for doing Gunpla. Like, you don't have to say like, oh, it's soothing to me, or it reminds me of whatever. No, if you just like it, do it. We're gonna move on to a different picture so we can have a look at his creations. This is a TIE fighter. I can't distinguish, but I think that might be a person right there. No, that's a turbine. But this has a bit of moss in it. I don't know if the cables were there, but if they weren't, they were a great addition. I think it looks really, really cool. So, moving on to the next question. What do you like about building things? He says, to be honest... No, we actually read that over. Sorry. What has been your most time-consuming project and why? And he said, a custom Game of Thrones shield, which took me over a week to work on. The working time alone, he says. I wish we had a picture of that, because I cannot imagine something that takes that much time. Still sounds very cool. I hope you get to put that on your Instagram account. We will go to another picture. Let's see if we can see out of the picture. Okay, there it is. Very cool. Again, the weathering effects, you guys are nailing it. I don't know how you do it, but it's just amazing. We asked him what is one of your greatest achievements, and Salty said, I don't really know, as I never really show my projects until now. Again, if you go to his Instagram account right now, he's going crazy. He's showing everything he has, even his video game collection, which I am pretty jealous of. Next question is, how did you get into this hobby? Did a friend recommend this to you? Have you watched any shows? And he says, I was always into models and making custom things. Once I hit my teens, I really got into Gundam, and that's how I got into Gunpla. Cool. Okay, so Gundam, I don't know about you, but when I was watching the anime as a kid, we never had any commercials for Gunpla, so I never thought this was a thing. If I had known, probably I would have been a builder as a teenager. What is the most frustrating thing about your hobby? For example, pieces don't always fit, painting is messy, or it doesn't get a lot of views, or it takes a lot of space. And Salty said, running out of something when you need it the most and then having to wait weeks for it to arrive. Salty lives in Germany, and I do not know if in Germany you can find kits easily, or if you can find spare parts, or even if shipping. Well, he just said that it takes weeks for you to get anything. So I can imagine that is probably one of the most frustrating things. I can see that. Me living in Chile, I can relate to that with video games. Now I live in China, and of course shipping only takes a few days, but I can imagine the frustration. We asked him, do you have any hobby related goals? Do you have any dream projects? For example, building all of the models or crafting something life-sized? And he said, I don't really have any goals or plans. I just make up the things I make on the spot. So he just like, you know, just gonna make something like this cool Zaku. By the way, let's appreciate that diorama. The debris, pretty cool. We asked him, what kind of feelings does this hobby evoke on you? Does it relax you? Does it remind you of someone, or how? And he says, I don't really know, as I never really thought about this question, so I can't really answer. I want to believe that he likes to share things now. He seems pretty happy with sharing his creations on Instagram these days, and I'm happy for that. I'm happy that you finally got around to doing that. Next question is, do you have any friends or people you follow who you look up to? Not really. I disagree. He said not really, but he is a pretty active part of the Gundam community. So I want to say you're wrong. Wrong. You do participate a lot. Look at this. I've seen you share your dioramas like this one, and I think it's just really amazing. We asked him, to finalize, could you give any advice to people who are just starting in this hobby of yours? And he said, take your time and don't rush the project. I think that's a pretty good advice. I don't personally do that myself, but I can relate that people might want to just finish something real quick and end up breaking pieces or painting something wrong. So I think you just should take your time. That's it. Take your time, have fun. And that is it. Salty can probably share more of his creations. Now you can find him on Instagram as just_truck_kun. Pretty cool guy. I really like his creations. And that's it. I want to say thank you to all the creators. I'm so happy that you were able to share your stories, and that basically in one way or another, because not everyone is on the same server. Everybody is on Instagram. That's the only thing that I know. But I like it that everybody has been so approachable to share your creations, to share what it means to be a builder. I personally, to me it's soothing to create stuff like this. So if I'm able to share your stories, I'm happy to do it. We're gonna do this Builders Corner soon, maybe not that soon, because it takes time to process all the submissions and to get all the pictures ready. But I want to thank particularly, in specific and in order, we have FruityFan, IvoryGundam, Mecha Raskal, Miyata, Putaro, and Salty Wrecker for sending submissions. Those are Unbelievable. Didn't think we were gonna have that many submissions, but I can't stick around, but this has been fun. We'll have to submit for the next one. Yes, you should. Yes, you should. I'm going to actually stop the stream right now. So I want to say thank you everybody for watching. We will upload this video soon so that you can see yourself, and we can show others your creations. I'm looking forward to that. So in the meantime, just thank you for watching, and thank you for sending your submissions. I'll see you next time. Bye bye everyone.